Hello,
Hi, Mr. Mark.
how are you? I'm not Emily.
Yeah, I can see that. Mr. Arm, so nice to see you. It's an honor.
Uh, Thank you.
I'm Rafa, representing Kiss FM, the biggest Brazilian rock and roll station.
Oh, nice.
Any memories from last time you've been to Brazil? I guess it was 10 years ago.
From the very last time?
Yeah, or any other time.
Oh, I don't, I mean, I remember trying to go surfing in really chaotic waves in Salvador, and they sent out uh, a local swimming champion to kind of tread water next to me the whole time because they didn't trust that I would come back alive. And actually, the board I rented got broken by one of the waves.
Didn't know you have a surfer attitude.
It was really terrible conditions. I shouldn't have gone out. Um, uh, when we the very first time we came, we ended in Recife right before the Carnival,
Okay.
and like basically the Carnival started the next day, and we hung out for that, and that was really cool. Uh, Took a very some locals took us on a boat trip up the river, and they introduced us to like the first two Gal Costa records. It was
How did you
yeah.
like it? How did you like it?
Oh, very much, very much. Yeah, especially the second one, which is totally crazy. Yeah.
This time you're doing four gigs: Curitiba, São Paulo, Rio, and Belo Horizonte. What people can expect from the set list? Have you done it already or not?
Not exactly, but it'll be a mix of old stuff and some of the new songs, just like a normal band would do.
So it's going to have new songs from your last album.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah,
Okay, and the old stuff, of course.
yes.
And talking about concerts, can you tell me which one was the best or most iconic you ever played?
I don't know. I can't really. I would say one of the, like playing the Reading Festival for the first time in like 1990, and we were very low on the bill, but like the Cramps and the Bad Seeds were it was just kind of amazing to be there. And my memory of that was that the crowd went to the horizon, like just as far as the eye could see, there was people. And then we played there a couple of years later, and I realized, like, no, that's not actually true. There's like hills and so it's kind of strange how memory plays tricks on you.
I see, I see. And these days, I was reading about the gig you did with Soundgarden at London University, by the way, in 1989. Everybody loved it. The security staff, not so much. Is that correct?
No, yeah, and it wasn't really a great show. It was just kind of I think we only played like a handful of songs. It was more like a crazy event than a good show. It was just such a weird reaction on everybody's part. It was
I have a book I was reading. It's the Fury and the Sound of Seattle. You know that book, the white.
Oh, right. Keith Cameron's
Yes,
book.
I
Yeah.
was reading this the other day, and at the very beginning it describes how crazy was this show. That's why I asked you that, because
Yeah.
like you just got three songs, and the crowd was amazed, and everything was turned upside down.
Yeah. There was a strange feeling in the air even before we started. There was like this kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's sort of like a charged electricity or something like that. You know, it's just like you could feel like something that I don't know how that works with people, you know, with like their brain waves syncing or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, Keith Cameron, who wrote that book at the time, he was there as a journalist for Sounds. You know, he was a writer for Sounds. So he was just there to observe the show. And he ended up like working security. You know, like he was among some of the people who were like trying to help maintain things. You know, like people like
And the PA system went down, and
yeah. I mean, it wasn't a very sturdy stage to begin with. It was just like something that they kind of like I don't think the room was. It wasn't a rock room, you know. It was like just a room at the university where they had this makeshift stage and you know,
like for 200 people, 200 people, or something like this.
I don't really remember it. I couldn't. It wasn't that big, you know. It was, but it was a tightly packed.
Yeah, and the curious stuff is that you and Nirvana had the first UK success in there, and then you hit US. And it's curious, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like our very first tour was the US, and on that tour we started out with the only thing that we had out was the first 7-inch, and we like went from Seattle east to like New York and Boston and came back, and then in Seattle we met up with Sonic Youth and went down the west coast to Texas. And when we came back to Seattle, that was when Superfuzz came out. So like we went on tour with only having one 7-inch out. So, it takes a while. It takes a while to build things. I think we might have jumped the gun.
Probably an RV, right? You crossed America with an RV.
No, a van. It's like yeah.
That's great, man. And about gear, do you remember your first contact with a fuzz pedal?
I remember it was my first pedal that fucked things up in the way I enjoyed it was like an MXR Distortion Plus. It wasn't a fuzz pedal necessarily. It was a distortion pedal. And this is my first band, Mr. Up in the Calculations, and my friend and I, neither of us had very much money. So, and we weren't sure like who was going to do what, you know, like, so Smitty ended up singing more often than not, but in the early days, like we kind of like, I played guitar some of the times and he played some of the guitar some of the times. We went to a pawn shop and together we bought like a very cheap guitar. The brand is Orpheus, which I couldn't, I'm not familiar with that. I haven't really seen that since. And it had like the tuning peg for the A string was broken.
Yeah, it's in the book actually.
Yeah.
And he thankfully never broke, right?
No, never broke. It was an old flat wound string, you know, and so we just like had to. Everybody in the band had to tune to that string, whatever tuning we did, and we bought a PV backstage that had a button, a gain button. So like if you turn that up, it just kind of like added its own distortion. And so with the MXR and that gain button, it just had this incredible like just feedback whenever you weren't playing a chord. It just went
I love
And
this.
that was that made us very happy.
And do you think the digital pedal boards are finally getting close to the analog ones?
I don't know. I don't.
And you use it? Do you usually use that or not? Only analog ones.
I have pedals.
Yeah, I mean the fractal and the other digital pedal boards.
I don't. I have like just regular pedals on a pedal board that's like got a power supply. You know,
Old school.
most of them are either distortion or overdrive or fuzz pedals, and then there's one like it's supposed to be like an Echoplex,
I see.
but it's obviously not like tape loops. It's just a little.
I see. In your last album, Plastic Eternity, very good one, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What really motivates you guys to keep creating and releasing songs nowadays?
It's fun to do.
It's a good one. Good one. Because the market changed so much in the last decade, right? So it's not the same as selling the physical media. It doesn't happen anymore, correct?
Oh, I work in a warehouse that all we do is ship out physical media.
Yeah,
I mean, if the warehouse, if it was all streaming, I wouldn't have a job. So please buy records.
Yeah, and actually, you work for Sub Pop, correct?
Correct.
And that's the other question. How are you dealing? The record company is dealing with the streaming age.
I don't know. That's like people in other departments like marketing and whatnot and sales. They deal with that. I don't really know that much about it.
Are you still getting bands, taking bands to work with them?
What do you mean?
Are you still picking new bands to include on the Sub Pop label?
Oh yeah, they release new records by different bands all the time.
No, that's great. That's great. Because some of the labels in here are not doing this anymore unless they have more than 1 million plays, and then they back the band and say, "Oh, let's work together. Let's share."
No, I think Sub Pop is. I mean, Sub Pop kind of like there's a. I mean, they say at this point they sign all kinds of things, So it's not like as a focus and doesn't have the point of view as it had in the early days. But they're willing to take chances on some things.
I know what you mean. Mr. Mark, be honest, please. For 1 to 10, can you tell me the odds of having a Green River reunion?
We had one several years ago. We haven't talked about it in a long time. I don't know. It's not out of the.
Like the first formation.
Yeah, what we did. When we did it for Sub Pop 20. So that was like 15 years ago. But we did it with both Steve and Bruce Fairweather. So like it was three guitars. Stone played, of course, and then Steve, and still like Steve had to learn the songs that he never played on. The later songs.
But you have a score like for 1 to 10? Any chance? Pega o livro, papai, lá que tá lá o brinco.
I don't know, maybe 4.
4? That's great. That's great odds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
no one's really talked about it in a while.
I see. And A lot of people say that you didn't surf the mainstream wave mainly because of your authenticity. Any regrets of that concept?
Well, I think another reason is probably my vocal style.
I think it's pretty great. It's pretty unique.
Yeah, but it's not like commercial, you know?
Okay, but there's some other bands that shouldn't be commercial and they are, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the Red Hot Chili Peppers have a terrible singer.
But any regrets of that? Would you change something if you come back and talk to you?
Well, for one thing, I don't have that possibility, so it's kind of a pointless exercise. But you know, I think the fact that we approach things the way we did is the reason we're still around.
I see.
You know, we never had a goal of being mainstream pop band,
Yeah,
and so we were never disappointed.
that's it. That's good. Here's the book. Here's the book. Yeah. The last question. I know you have a really small time. I work with a lot of Brazilian independence bands, and we always talk about the importance of being united. How important this union between bands was for the Seattle scene? Were the bands really united, as they say?
Well, there wasn't like a formal organization or anything. A lot of us were just friends from, you know, who'd met each other in the early 80s, you know, and some of us had played in various bands together, you know. I mean, it's probably helpful to navigate things with a united front.
I see.
You know, especially like as places like Spotify try to take your rights away, and, you know,
Yeah.
and pay you less. Or if there's like venues that want to like do a pay to play kind of scenario, like it's good to not
Yeah.
succumb to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. Would you be? You know when you're coming to Brazil, because you have, I think it's the 20th March, the first concert, right?
Yeah, we show up a few days early, and we're going to have a couple rehearsals because Guy is coming over from Australia.
I see. I see.
The rest of us, Steve and Dan and I, are playing with a friend of ours, Jim Sankster. We're playing Portland on Friday, so we're, you know, a little bit in practice.
Do you how often you rehearse?
Only when we have something that's on the horizon. Yeah, it hasn't been that often lately. You know, I was like out doing touring with the Saints 73 to 78 in Australia last November. So, you know, we only just started getting together and rehearsing for this Portland show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and the sound is in your veins already for a long time now, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of the old songs we definitely have the muscle memory. You know, it's almost like you don't even have to think about them. But the newer songs, like the songs on Plastic Eternity and even some of the songs on Digital Garbage, it's like, okay, how does this go? How does it, you know, it takes a little more work because we haven't been playing them for 30 plus years.
Very good, very good. Mr. Mark Arm, thanks so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hope you have a really good arrival in Brazil. And I'm really excited to see you live this time. I never saw your band live, so it was my first time.
Excellent. We're looking forward to it, Rafa. Hope we'll meet you there.
Oh, of course. It would be great. Thank you very much, my friend. See you around.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.